What strange thing did you find out about someone else that they thought was perfectly normal?
There was this guy I went to college with. When he was in the shower, if the urge hit him, he would just take a shit in the shower instead of getting out to use the toilet. He did this the whole time he was a kid apparently, and it wasn't till he got to college and had to share bathroom facilities that he found out other people showering in adjacent stalls weren't cool with smelling shit as he stomped a log down the drain. I was talking to my husband on the phone, and he told me to hang on. He had to put his clothes back on. He was at work. I asked what the hell he was doing, and apparently he always takes all his clothes off to take a dump, even at work. I knew he did it at home, but he always would then get in the shower after, so I figured it was just a preface to showering. He said he balances them over the stall door so they don't get poop particles on them. I told him no one else does this. He didn't notice because in the men's room he's used for the last 10 years, there's only one stall. I'm not sure why no colleague ever asked him why he's hanging clothes over the stall door. I worked with a guy who had some kind of gut problem, and he'd be sitting at his desk and vomit into a cup. Not a lot, but like a verb. A few times a day, even in meetings. Finally, his boss talked to him and said that was not cool, and he should see a doctor. The guy was surprised. Why? He asked. He apparently had been doing this all his life. He went to a doctor, and what do you know? They had medicine for his condition. The guy grew up in some country where his condition was never addressed, either because of poverty or neglect, probably both. But the damage was already done. Everyone avoided the vomit guy. He was eventually let go. Edit. So, I asked a friend I had from those days, and he said this guy was from the Ukraine and part of a temp workforce from some agency that they hired for domestic help desk until they got permanent staff. I didn't interact with him much, but the first verp in a cup I saw the guy do was in the office kitchen. I assumed it was chewing tobacco, which I thought, wow, crude, and didn't connect the vomit smell to him because sometimes the office kitchen smelled like that when they cleaned/purged the automatic coffee machines. He looked a little touched. His eyes were just far apart enough to look off, although not like Down syndrome. His teeth were short, widely spaced apart, and uneven, like chiclets. He also had Vulcan-like eyebrows. Dressed real nice, though, bright white starched shirts and undershirt where everyone was wearing t-shirts and jeans. He was working there about a month when other employees start talking about him, and I learned it was verps, a term we stole from Tim Allen during his stand-up days, and not chaw. He used disposable cups from the office kitchen and threw them out every day, but it was still so nasty when there were 30 people packed in a meeting room and he'd randomly go, "Blwep," and spit it out. His boss said she'd have a word with him. She came to us later and explained that she spoke with him about the vomit thing, and his response was a surprised, "Really? You think I should see a doctor about this?" Yes. Yes, you should. That's not normal at all. Wow. Huh. Okay, boss. And he did. And he got meds. Like it never occurred to him before. He was pretty happy about it, too. Like, this is a curable condition. I have been living with this since I was a child, but our town didn't have a good doctor. This doctor gave me these meds. I don't know what he had, or what meds they gave him. I don't know why it didn't occur to him not to see a doctor when he got to the US, and I believe he had only been in the US for a few years. Was he fired because of this? Who knows, but no one wanted to be around the guy, who unsuccessfully tried to cover up the smell with some fierce cologne. And it was sad too, because he was a friendly dude, but also had some kind of limit with personal space, like he'd talk to you an inch or so from your face, and follow you that way even when you backed up. His boss talked to him about that, too, and he stopped again, because he didn't know. I really think he was slightly mentally challenged, but also didn't have decent social skills, because he did try and improve himself once someone told him not to do something. Either he was let go because his contract expired, we stopped using that temp agency, or most likely, part of the constant layoffs we had as part of if you want to get rid of people, just tack them on the next round policy the company had, we had, on average 2 to 3 of these layoffs a year. This one is about me. So I'm in high school physics class, and we are going over the physics of light. I'm of course sitting near the back of the class flirting, or in general fucking off, when out of nowhere the entire class is calling out numbers and letters, seemingly randomly, while looking at the teacher who is holding cards with random spots of colors on them. As they progress through the cards, I'm starting to get slightly panicked, as I have no idea what this exercise is or how to participate. And while everyone is yelling the answers out, I tried my best to follow along like an American in a Japanese karaoke bar, but it wasn't long before the cute girl next to me catches on that I'm faking it, doing what any kid would do in that situation. She immediately called me out and put me on blast to the entire class. Mr. Sitton, X can't read the cards. I should mention that I smoked a fair bit of pot when I was younger. On this day, I was operating at a safe school flight altitude of about 5,000 feet and was flying way under the radar. Definitely nowhere near giraffe pussy altitude, but still fairly lit. So at this point I'm stoned, embarrassed AF, and now bright red. The entire class and teacher are staring at me, and I have no fucking idea what is going on, other than I do not know how to solve for these seemingly random numbers and letters that are getting plucked out of the thin air by everyone but me. Mr. Sitton calms the class down and says, X, what do you see on this card? I'm so paranoid that I've missed an entire lesson on how to utilize physics to derive letters and numbers from random fucking colors and dots that I decide I will guess. I'm no statistician, but I do the quick math in my head while making obscure stoner faces liking him calculating for the answer, and I figure with 26 letters in the alphabet and 0 to 10 numbers, I've got about a 1 in 37 odds that I'll nail it and be done with this whole episode. Yeah, well, that shit didn't work. The class is cracking the fuck up. Mr. Sitton calmly states, It's okay, X. There's at least one of you every year. He proceeded to go further through the cards and figure what type of colorblind I was. Fast forward to a few classes later. I catch my girlfriend, of 3 years at that point, in the hallway during passing period. She is cracking up as she has already heard about how her boyfriend was stoned and figured out that he is colorblind. I was still pretty embarrassed and still processing what the fuck that even meant. I mean, I can see fucking colors. Keep in mind this is before internet on phones, so I didn't really have an understanding of what being colorblind meant, like should I be driving LOL? Her attempt to reassure me was a fail, babe. It all makes sense now. I get why your clothes never match, and you always dress so stupid. I just thought you were super eclectic and cool. Poor baby, you're just colorblind.
Ying.
So yeah, spent the next few nights with her, and I going through my wardrobe followed by a series of nopes. I should mention that my wife, of 15 years, still forgets that I'm colorblind and likes to challenge me occasionally, get frustrated, and then remembers it all over again. With a similar response to the old girlfriend, you poor thing. What challenges, you ask? Like, thanks for noticing my new hair color. Babe, you know that shirt doesn't go with that, right? I finally got those marks out of the markdown rug you bought. Please don't buy stuff like that anymore. Or sometimes when I suspect she's just being a dick, hey, what's the color of that over there? Haha, dumbass. In grade 5, our teacher was running a discussion about words and why it's important to choose the right words to express yourself during writing assignments. He asked what some of our favorite/least favorite words were and why, so we could expand our vocabularies. We're all taking turns until it gets to be my friend Paige's turn. She gives her favorite word and explains it's her favorite because of how sweet it is. We all just assumed she meant how nice it was. She then gives her least favorite word, explaining she hates how sour it is. At this point, the class is looking at each other going, she just said, sour, right? Turns out she has a type of synesthesia, which is a rare condition that causes a person to taste certain tastes when speaking or even thinking certain words. She had lived her whole life thinking it was completely normal to taste words, because it's such a unique and strange thing that nobody would ever talk about it being a condition. She had tests done later that year, and there were actual chemical changes in her brain and saliva when certain words were said. Pretty fascinating. Edit. For people who are curious as to what her least favorite words were, I contacted her to ask. She believes her favorite word at the time was cradle, as she still finds it very sweet. Her least favorite word was definitely harmonica, as it is so sour she can feel her tongue cramping in the back of her mouth. Since then, she's discovered her love of the word chartreuse, which is a color. She said it's a rich, chocolatey vanilla, almost like a Linder chocolate. She didn't realize until she tried wine in high school that she was tasting wine every time she said Guinea, but only when she's referring to the animal. She said her least favorite word is definitely still harmonica, but funnily she also never liked her own name, as she would compare the taste to kale or some other dry, bitter lettuce. And this is the end of today's video. I hope you liked it, and don't forget to comment an anecdote or experience similar to the topic of the video. Leave your like, share if you like the video, and lastly don't forget to activate the little bell so you don't miss any of our daily videos. Bye-bye.